Welcome back again, everyone, to Friends Occasionally Not Disagreeing. I'm Cody, and I'm here with Brett and Dave today, and we are going to be talking about the latest Marvel, let's say, special presentation. We'll talk about what that means, I guess, here in a second. On Disney Plus, this is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. We're also going to chat a bit about the previous holiday, or not, well, it is a holiday special, but it wasn't really presented as such, but special presentation, which was Werewolf by Night. We'll put a couple comments in on that as well. It's been another week here, so let's see. What have I been doing with my free time? I'm trying to finish the old school throwback horror game Signalis, which I played quite a few hours of last night. I think I'm close. Maybe like one more night should be the end of that, but it's a nice little throwback to almost like the tank control Resident Evil games, but you can choose to play with or without the tank controls. So the shooting system actually is kind of weird because you can like face the enemy, but then your other joystick is like picking where your gun is aiming. So it's kind of a weird system, but it actually works pretty well. And you can like hold it. The longer you like lock onto an enemy, like the target reticule gets smaller until you get like a more powerful, accurate shot as well. So if you can line them up right, you can do a little more damage. But that's mostly what I've been doing, other than starting to get into my crazy holiday Christmas present buying spree, which I usually do for about 3 weeks straight. But I had a lot of fun today. I slept the kids home and ran around and bought a bunch of stuff for their stockings and a couple of Santa presents for them. So that's what I've been up to. What have you guys been up to?
I've been playing Marvel's Midnight Suns, which just came out at like midnight on Thursday. It's super fun. It's basically like Marvel meets XCOM meets a card game with like a little bit of old school BioWare RPG thrown into the mix. And I've been looking forward to it for a while. It got good reviews, so I went ahead and bought it at launch, and I'm really enjoying it a lot. I recommend it.
That does look really good. I watched some people playing it just yesterday. So
Nice.
definitely
Now,
fun.
I had only seen the title on that, so I had assumed that was like a new expansion for the Avengers thing that they've been pumping out expansions for forever, but it's different, hey?
It's a different game entirely. Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Well, coincidentally, I also have been playing the heck out of a Marvel game. I've been playing Marvel Snap, which I mentioned briefly in our group chat a while back. It's a mobile game, and it's essentially like a card battling game, like a deck building, card battling. You've got 3 locations. You're trying to like get the most power in 2 out of 3, and it's pretty fun. I've been enjoying it a lot. Like all the cards are characters, and each character has, well, not all of them. Some of them don't have abilities, but nearly all of them do. And they all have like different energy costs and their like power that they give you. And it's pretty cool because there's a lot of strategies and possibilities that can happen. Like one really fun one I had just the other day. It's probably like the most memorable one I've had is I went into the last round, actually technically losing. And I played Gambit, which Gambit just like sacrifices your own cards to destroy your opponent's cards. And I played him on a space that doubles his effect. And then I played Odin, which doubles his effect as well. So I actually got like, I don't even know, it was something crazy, like 8, it like doubled the double. And I literally wiped the board with the opponent's team. He had 0 points on the board at the end of the round. It's amazing. So I've been really playing that, enjoying that. And also I've been the big thing today was the Fortnite chapter end event.
Ooh.
That was, we had the it's actually become an entire, like our whole family gets to do it now. Because for a while I was playing it with my son, and my son just loves it. He's typical kid, they all love it. And now my daughter's actually been playing it a fair amount lately. I think mostly to play so that she can play with with my son and with me. But then my wife actually watches and seems to enjoy it. I think she mostly like enjoys it for the spectacle, because the end events are have a lot of kind of a grand stage feel to it. I don't know if she really cares about the events necessarily, but yeah, that happens.
Do you all play at the same time?
our current setup, we have the PlayStation and my PC, so only 2 of us can play at the same time. And I actually didn't play today, which is the first time I have not played in the event in several seasons. I'm not sure how long. But I just watched, and they enjoyed the heck out of it. So it was a good time.
Excellent. Well, as mentioned here today, we are talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. But before we get to that proper, just kind of get some thoughts from you guys as far as this new format Disney has introduced with Marvel, which is the special presentation format on Disney Plus. If anybody out there hasn't seen this before, there's only 2 of these so far, as I mentioned, A Werewolf by Night and then the holiday special. But these run like right around 45 minutes ish, I would say, for both of these. And it's kind of an interesting format because it's not a TV show nor a full movie per se. So like, what kind of thoughts do you guys have on this format as just a new way to present information from the MCU to the audience?
In general, I think it's a cool idea. I don't know if either of these are great examples of what I want to see them do with it, though. Like, I feel like the Guardians one is just kind of like a lot of it is exposition that James Gunn maybe didn't want to include in Guardians 3, or wanted to be able to like skip over to kind of dive into that movie.
It's like deleted scenes that he's stuck in here.
Yeah. And then Werewolf by Night, and we'll get to this in a bit, but like it doesn't really feel like, it kind of is the opposite problem where it doesn't tie into anything, and but is maybe not enough to stand on its own.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool because it's like it's a medium kind of length presentation. It kind of feels bite-sized, like you can just jump in and watch it because it's the same length as an episode of a show.
Yeah.
But it also has kind of like a bit of a movie feel to it at the same time. It's fun, at least in the case of the Guardians one. It's all the same characters, all the same actors that we know and have been enjoying all this time. So it's not like they recast characters or something crazy like that. So it has that feel like it just fits in. I'm not sure what they could do with it. Like anything what they haven't done. But they've been pretty enjoyable so far.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting time usage as far as what they could spend that on for the characters here. I don't know if I'd prefer them to spend it on like Werewolf by Night, where they're kind of introducing new characters, or Guardians, where they're revisiting characters, or third option obviously would be to take, somebody who popped up for like a minute or two in one of the MCU movies and like expand their story before they get to the next movie that would feature them, like can't remember his name at the moment, but Harry Styles' character at the end of Eternals, for example, like I don't know who that is, but
Eros.
what is it? Eros, yeah. But like they could do an episode on him and like tell us what his backstory is, so that they wouldn't have to shoehorn that into the movie as well.
Yeah, that seems like yeah, that'd be a good idea.
So I feel like they can do a lot with this format. The fact that these first 2 have coincided with holidays, I mean, I was kind of all about that at first. I don't know if that's the format they'll continue to do to match things up, or
it seems like it would be hard to keep doing that. Like, what do you do between
comes Easter?
The Easter special?
Just wait, Man Thing will be back for the Arbor Day special. Just wait. but it is kind of interesting, so it's enjoyable. Unlimited potential. We'll see what they do with this, if these continue on or not. I haven't heard of any other ones down the pipes on these. Have you?
No,
not me.
Yeah, so we'll see what the future of these is. But let's talk about that first one they put out. This was around Halloween, a little before, I believe. They came out with Werewolf by Night, who is, again, kind of one of these B-C characters in the Marvel comic universe, that MCU, I guess. And came up with kind of an interesting little movie here to introduce those characters to us, mostly Elsa Bloodstone and the titular Werewolf by Night, and then also they threw Man Thing, who's kind of Marvel's version of like Swamp Thing almost from DC. I was excited for this one. I think I had even said in that little half episode I recorded by myself that this was actually my most anticipated MCU movie of this year. More than Doctor Strange or Thor or Black Panther was actually Werewolf by Night. I was pretty stoked about this one. And I didn't really know exactly what it was going to be about, but this would be right up our friend Matt Hudson's alley, because it's basically a death game where they're throwing everybody in this big arena and seeing who's going to win to get the bloodstone, as it were, as the reward. So I'll save some more thoughts of mine here. But what you guys think about Werewolf by Night? We never reviewed this one.
I would say I overall enjoyed it pretty well. It it kind of gives that the classic horror movie feel. I would say primarily because it's in black and white. And the way it's shot, I think, has definitely some aspects of some more classic movies. I wouldn't say it's exactly scary. It definitely came out by Halloween. I think that it was clearly intentional because it's about werewolves and monsters and things. I wouldn't necessarily say it's scary, but it's very atmospheric and does have like a feel of tension through at least the first half of the movie or so. And yeah, I would say the overall it was pretty enjoyable. I guess I'll save my rest of some more review for that later. What do you got, Dave?
I'd say overall, I feel like they succeeded in what they were trying to accomplish. I just don't know if what they were trying to do is for me or really what I want out of an MCU special like this. So I can't really fault it for much other than just the fact that it was just not that enjoyable for me personally. I'm not like a big monster movie guy or even a horror fan, really. Not that this was horror, but
Yeah.
It was like well crafted,
Mhm.
but not what I was looking for, I guess.
Yeah, it's, I was pretty excited when I saw the format on this one too. Like Brett mentioned, it's like an old school Universal black and white movie with some monsters and kind of. I don't think the actual movie was, but like the trailer for it made it look like it was going to be kind of overacted, like those old school Universal films were as well. Dracula versus Frankenstein or whatever type stuff. They even had like the old where like the film cell like seemed like it was like crackling and like
That's right, yeah.
the effects on the actual film itself was kind of cool. Yeah, it was a weird one though, because I don't know that there was a character I was like cheering for necessarily in this one, which was kind of a downside of it, I guess. Elsa Bloodstone, who is a character I know that's again like a BC character more or less in the comic books, didn't seem too likable necessarily. And then Jack Russell, who turns into Werewolf by Night, same thing. He was kind of a shady dude who in the end I guess is shown to be pretty good, because he seems like he's trying to help Ted, who is Man-Thing, escape from this maze that they have everybody in. But like Dave pointed out, it's not really horror, but also maybe not really for everyone. Like, did you have your kids watch this out of
No.
curiosity? No,
No.
because like they do have death and stuff in this. Like,
Yeah, there were some pretty gory
There's-
parts.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So like they do try to go into the horror genre a little bit here, I think. This was also a fun one because it was done by our old pal Michael Giacchino here from Lost, who I think it's his directing debut, if I recall.
I think so too. I didn't look it up, but I believe so.
And he did the music for this as well. And of course, we know him from the music from Lost, which we should do an episode on someday. By episode, I mean 10-part anthology. That would be
Every
fun.
episode broken down.
Every episode broken down into twice as long as that episode actually ran for.
Well, next fall will be 20 years since Lost debuted, so maybe we'll do it then.
Wow.
Stop.
I didn't want to hear that.
Seriously?
Yeah. It was fall 2003. Oh no, 2004. I'm sorry. I'm a year off. So it's 18 years old right now.
Okay.
Crazy.
It's legal, baby.
Oh my goodness. That's funny. I don't know if I have much more else to say about this Werewolf by Night. I haven't rewatched it since it came out, but I did enjoy it, not as much as I was hoping I would, sadly, for reasons kind of mentioned already here. But I did really enjoy it, and I really think it did set the excitement level for me as far as like what they could use this format for. Like they could do some weird genre pieces on this. And Dave, I'm curious, like you mentioned you didn't like it, and I'm guessing part of that is because it didn't connect to the larger MCU, which I know is like one of your main jams.
That is a big part of it. Yeah, I actually this morning before rewatching it, I spent a lot of time coming up with a new scoring system for myself and how I judge things. And I'm not going to bore listeners with the nitty gritty, but I have a nice numerical categorical way to judge things, and linking into what came before it and improving upon what came before it is a big part of that. And this did not score well in those categories at all.
Okay.
But maybe with Blade or Black Knight becoming a larger part of the MCU now, maybe some of these characters or just the themes in general will start becoming more relevant. And if in retrospect it has set some things up, then that'll improve it in my esteem.
Thank you so much for saying that. You just reminded me to pull up an article I had meant to have ready for this, so thank you.
Oh, sure.
Brett, any other thoughts on Werewolf by Night?
Yeah, a couple other thoughts there that I had written down. This was when I watched it right around Thanksgiving, a little bit before that. Yeah, not Thanksgiving, Halloween.
That was a good old Thanksgiving movie.
I hadn't rewatched it since then, so my memory of it is fading a little bit. But like I said before, I enjoyed most of it. I kind of feel like you did in that I thought maybe I was expecting a bit more, and it was enjoyable but not like stand out. The twist at the end was kind of, it was fun but not really shocking that man thing was actually friendly and not of a crazy bloodthirsty monster. And actually at the end was kind of like a bit of the comic relief a bit. And I just point out that the werewolf is named Jack Russell.
That's right.
That's right. That's like a classic comic book thing, is like, how could this character's name tie into what they are?
One of these people is a werewolf.
How can we figure this out? Let's see.
One named after the tiniest, least threatening dog you could possibly have.
Yeah, that was funny. I the other thing I wrote down here was I thought that the cast of these hunters, like assassin people, they all were kind of like a little bit unique and all kind of cool. They like felt like exotic, like actual like monster hunters. I thought that was pretty neat. Although we didn't really get a lot from them, but I mean, it's 45 minutes long. It's not like you're going to get a lot of backstory on these people or a lot of character development or anything. But I would say overall, I enjoyed it. It's a movie that I would probably I would watch it again and probably enjoy it again. But if I never saw it again, I'd be like, that's okay. I don't feel like I'm missing out.
That's a fair way to put it. We had hyped it up. I made a big deal of it here. Like we popped a bunch of popcorn and watched the lights off and everything. And Boston, my son, is still not quite into scary stuff. Like it still scares him to even walk downstairs if the lights are off, for example. But this was about a level he could take, so that was good. And dark enough that Cameron was like, all right, this is cool. My wife was like, wait, what are we watching? But that's okay. But it was all good. Okay, well, sweet. We'll let that sit and let's move on to the main feature here, which is the released on my 42nd birthday at 42 minutes long. This is weird. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which came out. And well, where do we start with this one? Let's see. So this one's obviously, like the first one wasn't necessarily Werewolf by Night directly tied to Halloween. Obviously it came out around then because of content and whatnot, but this one's actually tied right into the holiday of Christmas as part of the plot. And we, as Brett mentioned earlier, we kind of go back to the characters that we already know and love, and we have the whole team back again. And we have well, before we even get to that, we start with a cartoon intro. So when it had started, I was like, wait, what are we watching here exactly?
I was concerned as well. Yeah.
My wife was like, the whole thing's not like this, is it? Because she's not a fan of animation. I know a lot of people are, but I think a lot of people aren't. And I wonder how many people started it and went, oh, never mind, and turned it right off.
Yeah, I was concerned at that point that it was going to be all animated and all the voice actors were going to be like close, but not the actual actors.
Just like like What If they did that for What If they replaced.
Yeah, but it's like, are they doing this because Michael Rooker doesn't want to put blue makeup on anymore? Like, why are just these parts animated? And I think it was just James Gunn being, a little out there and just creative with it. But
I think it wasn't it like a throwback too to like the Star Wars holiday special? Didn't that have like animation in it also? Am I wrong on that? I don't know if I've actually ever seen the Star Wars holiday special.
I know it has like a claymation part to it, but I don't think it had an animated part. It's been a long time.
Okay. I remember the first like Boba Fett, who's old school, my favorite character, like I think his first like thing was cartoon and people didn't know who he was, but I don't know. We're probably losing nerd points for not knowing that one better than we do here in this group, but that's okay. But anyway, we get the little cartoon intro, which kind of shows how Yondu ruined Peter Quill's Christmas by pretty brutally like trashing his Christmas tree and like all his presents.
All your ideas are crap. Get him out of here.
I was like, whoa. All right, and then we get into, thank God, live action stuff after that. So so we get some intro stuff here, and I got a few just say this like Easter eggs, not really, but tied to the bigger MCU, I guess. So the first one we get here is that the Guardians have a new member on their team, apparently, starting off here, which is Cosmo the Space Dog, which we had seen very minorly in the MCU prior to this. So that was kind of cool to see. Now they have a talking dog on their team too, because why the hell not? They're the Guardians
it fits
of the
right
Galaxy.
in.
We also learned that they've bought Nowhere from the Collector, who is still alive. I did not think that Collector had survived. It was, a little nebulous with Thanos' use of the Reality Stone there.
Was that a joke?
So that was
that fun?
No, but I'll take the credit for it anyway.
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting. And we have a new location and apparently a lot of people there too. So did you take that as like those were people on Nowhere that were just still there when the Guardians bought it, or did they like
that's kind of what I assumed, but
expand their team to
previous citizens of Nowhere, who seem a lot more wholesome than they used to? But
that's a good point. Yeah. Okay, so basically after this tale is told, we get Mantis and Drax deciding they want to have a good Christmas for Peter, and Peter's still kind of down in the dumps here. If you follow his through line through the MCU, he's still kind of down about losing Gamora and then losing time travel Gamora as well, someplace, we don't know where yet. And so they want to give him the perfect Christmas, and the only way to do that, of course, is to travel to Earth and find Kevin Bacon.
Well, don't forget the 5-minute music video that happened before that.
Oh man, I did forget the 5-minute music
video. Where they have the old 97s dressed up in some pretty good makeup and singing an entertaining enough song. But boy, did the editor not know what to do after the first 30 seconds or so of this song. They're like, let's just do another crane shot. Just have that crane shot flying around, showing the crowd. That's what's that? Quill is saying, no, what? No. And then another crane shot. Let's get those credits done.
Go ahead, Brett.
I'll just say, I agree. It did get a little bit repetitive there in the directing work. It was enjoyable. It was funny. See all the ideas that they came up with about his story of Santa.
The song itself was entertaining. Like Mrs. Claus works the pole. I laughed out loud at that line. Oh my god!
Now, did you watch this one with your kids?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. I also love the first time they're performing that song, and that's the first time, if you look in the crowd, you see Groot, who my kids and I have now nicknamed Buff Groot. I don't know what you're gonna call this phase of him, but
I wrote a note down here like why is he so chunky?
He's like,
I have a theory about it. I think that even though he's CG, I looked this up. He looks almost like a practical suit.
It does,
and I'm wondering if this Groot exists for like Disney World purposes, so that now they can put someone in a Groot costume and have them walk around and be Groot, because you could just totally put someone in that costume.
definitely. It's big enough. You could, a person could fit in there. And
That's interesting.
yeah, that's a good thought.
So Disney just like told James Gunn that like we need super buff Groot in this one so we can have somebody in Disney World. That's a good thought. Wow.
It's my pet theory.
All right. Well, we get Mantis and Drax basically going off on their own here to Los Angeles, to Hollywood, and we get a pretty awesome montage of them experiencing life on Earth, getting drunk and making lots of money for taking photographs and experiencing all the good things that Earth has to offer. How'd you like the intro just when they get to the planet?
The one thing I want to say is that the song during playing it was pretty lame. As far as I was concerned, it's like this is not a Christmas song. It's not really even that enjoyable. I didn't really like it, but the actual action that what was going on was pretty fun. It was, yeah, like, one of the things I wrote down here was like Drax and Mantis are like the two like worst possible parts of the team just sent to Earth to do this mission. You know, not that they were sent, but they chose to do it on their own. But like because they neither of them like understand like what's going on Earth, and they just everything they do is wrong.
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny.
It was funny and fun, but I was part of me was like, oh, they accidentally got a bunch of money, and then they walked by a club and they were like, could Kevin Bacon be in here? And they walked into it. That's the line Mantis said. I wrote it down. And then they walk in and they spend all their money, and then they're like right back where they started. And it's like, all right, that was fun, but nothing happened there. You could have cut out all that. And there's two things in this special that I have way too much of an issue with. And the first one is GoBots killed his cousin. The fact that they have decided to bring GoBots into the MCU canonically to have be like an alien race, I was like, what? That makes no sense. It's like if Bucky, who's now doesn't have his arm, we'll get back to that. It's like he gets a new one, and they're like, "Where'd you get that?" And he's like, "Oh, I got it from my friend Inspector Gadget." Like, you can't just
Oh shit, I missed that part. Dang.
From the 80s and make it MCU canon. That's not how it works, James Gunn.
I had a lot of questions on that because I was like,
funny.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me that perhaps they were saying that the GoBots are actually real and like an alien race.
That's what she said. Yeah,
I was like, somehow like the toys like killed him. I was like, what? Okay, well, we'll just roll with that, I guess.
Oh my god, that's funny. That's good stuff. I really enjoyed, one of the things I enjoyed the most about this piece is just that they took probably the two least developed members of the team and like just gave them the starring role in this to run. And like, I know Dave Bautista, who plays Drax, has gone on the record several times as like kind of begrudgingly saying like he'll finish out Guardians 3 and then he's done with the franchise because like it's not a challenging role for him, and like he's just there for laughs and to be shirtless and be painted up with all this crap on him that takes forever.
That sounds like a fair
so
assessment.
it was kind of fun just to see like these two have their time and run around and go crazy. And they've already had good camaraderie between the two of them in the past movies, but I definitely think that's taken like up another level here in this one for sure. So I really like that about this.
Yeah, I love how the two of them like like Mantis is just like brutally honest with him, but just like anytime he does anything, he's like, Drax, you're so stupid. And he's just like, yep. He just takes it and he's just like, that's just how we talk to each other.
It is fun chemistry. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, well, long story short, they end up finding where Kevin Bacon lives, and they are going to, I guess, politely ask him to come with them at first, but that doesn't go well because he assumes they're like a couple of cosplayers who are trying to break into his house and seem kind of creepy. So he calls the police on them, and we get some wonderful comedy in here too, with Drax stealing what appeared to be an inflatable elf, and Mantis stealing a candy cane, which may or may not look like a man, depending on what you think a man looks like, I guess. So yeah, let's talk about Kevin Bacon for a second. How did you guys like Kevin Bacon and as Kevin Bacon in the MCU?
I liked how the credits said introducing Kevin Bacon.
I got that also.
that was clever. I thought he he seemed like he was having a lot of fun with it,
Yeah.
which is really all I could ask.
Yeah, I enjoyed the like they kept making the jokes about like actors being like disgusting human beings, and he just just basically played right into that, you know. Yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job, but it was just funny that they brought him in, and it, you know, they could have done the whole thing where the joke was they were trying to get Kevin Bacon and like never found him or something and like got a replacement or something, but the fact that it was actually him was pretty cool.
Yeah, agreed. When the show was over, the very first thing I thought was, I hope to God they make a Kevin Bacon MCU Funko Pop so I can add him to my collection.
Oh God.
The first thing I thought of. I don't know if they will or not, but I hope they do. Cameron said they should make one where he's in a little box, which we're spoiling ahead a little bit here, but you have to open the box to see it. That was a great idea as well. So all right, so we get Kevin Bacon here, who they find out is actually not a superhero. They're kidnapping him and taking him back to Earth, and this was they just with Mantis's power, essentially, right? Isn't that how that happened?
Yeah, she like hypnotized him,
Okay,
more or less.
I was like, act like this, act like that. And they
Yeah,
bring him. Go ahead, Dave.
We hadn't really seen that with Mantis before, right? We had seen that like she can sense your, I guess with their sleep powers, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, she put
Okay.
Ego to sleep.
And she put Thanos to sleep.
Yeah.
Too. Okay. I guess we had, I guess the sleep was the only thing we'd really seen, and this is just an extension of that. So never mind.
Yeah, I think it was just sleep and like just generally feeling how someone's inner piece is at the time, I guess.
I didn't know she could just like Jedi mind trick people.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Right.
That's a pretty cool handy tip they have here now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she actually gets into some like combat too, which is new. So
yeah, and she's like jumping around the walls of Kevin Bacon's house in an almost creepy way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she had to have Drax throw her over the gate, which was a hilarious scene. But later she's like jumping over fences and hedges by herself to chase him.
Fair point.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? But yeah, she did kind of have like insecticide type movements, insect-like movements.
Yeah. Keep trying, Cody.
Insecticide.
You'll get there.
Insecticide. All right, so we get Kevin Bacon captured and he's brought back to nowhere for the surprise Peter Quill Christmas celebration, which everybody was in on, including Groot and Rocket, and even begrudgingly Nebula, I think, flipped the switch at some point in there. And that was pretty sweet. And then he opens up the present, but he hears somebody yelling inside, and it's Kevin Bacon. Okay, so this happens, and then Bacon's basically returned to normal by Peter Quill's wishes and wants to immediately go home. And then he's in the spaceship with Kraglin, who, nice to see him kind of get another minute or two of screen time here as well.
Yeah.
On their new spaceship, apparently called the Bowie, which I did not know. So there you go.
I think that was new information. It's a cool looking ship too. I can't wait to build the Lego model of it.
Did I pre-order already? Dave's getting into Legos now too, so it's getting dangerous here. I love it. So basically Kraglin tells the story about Peter Quill, and then Kevin Bacon decides to go back and celebrate with the Guardians as a little Christmas celebration before he goes back. So there we go. And then we get the huge revelation here at the end of this one that Yondu actually did care about Christmas and Peter and gave him his set of blasters, which he's used for quite a few movies now. And we do actually get kind of a nice little moment at the end here, which is, I guess, not really a reveal at that point, but we find out that Star-Lord has family, I guess, in the form of Mantis, who is, what would that be, a stepsister? Well, sort of.
Half sister.
Yeah, it'd have to be half sister because they share a father. But yeah, they didn't give any kind of information as to how that came about or anything.
Yeah, I wasn't sure the terminology on that, because I don't know if Mantis had a mom or not, or if Ego just like spawned her off to the side, or like that makes a difference. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But that was kind of cool. And then I guess that's it. So he gets a little bit of family back at the end. So let's see, anything else we have on this over here?
I have something.
Yeah,
My
go
other
ahead,
thing I need to really nitpick about
Go
and
for it.
overreact to, and that is the stinger at the end where they're dressing up Groot and he lowers his arms and they say, "Oh, Groot, you've ruined Christmas again," and then Cosmo and Rocket turn to the camera and say, "Now we got to have another special," and I was mad because this is like, okay, so obviously Deadpool can break the fourth wall, of course. She-Hulk, that's her thing. It's wonderful. I enjoy it for the characters who can do it. But if it's just going to be everyone now, if that's just open season, then I don't like it. And I know that I'm overreacting to that and the GoBots thing, but both like just chip away a little bit at like what the MCU is and the limits that you kind of have to stay in, and I don't like it, and I'm a big nerd and I don't like it.
I thought you were going to say that you didn't like the fact that it sounds like they're going to make this a yearly thing.
No, they can do it again, but I don't want Rocket to look at the camera and acknowledge that he's in a Christmas special. I know
Yeah.
that's just them having fun, but I don't like it.
They could have had the exact same dialogue without them looking at the camera. That probably would have worked just as fine.
Well, even yeah, but even saying we have to have another special, I don't know. Like
Maybe they were talking to off-screen Nebula, and they were just turning to face her, and they meant special, like have a party for Peter Quill. So then maybe that's what they meant. I don't know. I got nothing to defend that, I guess. Okay, let's see. And I didn't think we would, but we didn't get any sign of Gamora in this at all. It's pretty much a self-contained story, so not much on the hunt for her as things keep going here.
Yeah.
And I think the stuff I have read, and I've actually been trying to back off on spoilers more than I used to for a lot of the MCU stuff piece by piece here, but I know the third one I've heard is supposed to be darker. The third movie is supposed to be darker than these other ones have been, so we'll see where that goes. Let's see, anything else here? Comments on the holiday special from anyone?
Just in general, and you touched on this a bit, Cody, but I was really happy to see Mantis get so much screen time and kind of be like, essentially the main character of this. I know Groot was with her a lot, but she had, the comedic beats and the emotional beats, and it was really good to expand on her character in a more central way and have an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think now that you just said that, like of all the stuff we have seen from the MCU, is there another character that is as prominent as she is that we know as little about or has had a little screen time with? I'm trying to think like Falcon and Winter Soldier had their own TV show now. Like, a lot of the secondary characters they've really put out in other movies or crossover movies or their own TV show at this point. But the Guardians still had those couple people maybe that had a little less screen time. Like the Avengers, everybody's had their own screen time. I mean, I guess you could take like the Eternals or something and make an argument there, but
did you guys see that Kingo was in this one?
No.
So when Mantis and Drax are like sitting on the curb before they get to the star map, there's a sign in the back that is advertising Kingo's Christmas. And
interesting.
It's the first acknowledgement that the Eternals exist in the rest of the MCU.
Interesting.
So I thought that was a fun little touch. I didn't mean to detract from what you were saying, Cody.
No, that's fun. I didn't catch that. So while the other three have been taken off into Nowheresville by Arishem, he's still making movies. That's good to know. That's good to know. Okay, cool. Well, let's do a quick rating on this, I guess, to wrap up. And then I got one other thing here I want to chat with everybody about going forward in the MCU. But we have some comments here from Joe, who's a frequent host as well. So I'll tell you guys what he said first to break the ice on this. This is a quote from Joe. He said, 2022 saw a surprising release from director James Gunn on a streaming platform. It stars an ex-wrestler as part of an unlikely group of misfits who band together to help save the day. With irreverent humor and awesome soundtrack and a surprising amount of heart, it turned out to be one of the best things I've seen all year. But enough about Peacemaker. I thought the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special was just okay. 6.5 out of 10.
That's fun.
So,
That's pretty good. Hey, John Cena was in this too.
was he?
And Margot Robbie. They're two of the stars on the star map graphic as they're making their way to Kevin Bacon's house. It's Margot Robbie, John Cena, Queen Latifah, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, I did see Arnold.
And Mark Paul Gosselaar.
Ooh. Love that. You want me to go, or you guys want to
go ahead.
All right. So I guess all I really wanted out of this was a good holiday fun family flick, and I'm going to kind of rate it that way. I definitely don't think, obviously, it compares to like the better fare from the MCU movies. That's for sure, because it is so small and just like a little nugget of fun. But for what it actually was, it's just like a weird Christmas special. I really, really enjoyed it for, what they did with just the 40 minutes or whatever of actual screen time they had before the credits here. Kevin Bacon was a lot of fun. I liked, as I said, just the expanded story here for Mantis and Groot. I mean, heck, even Star-Lord's not even in it that much. I mean, he's just here and there towards the end. And
yeah.
I'm sure Karen Gillan for Nebula was like, I got to put the makeup on for this, really? She got like 3 minutes of screen time. I doubt she even has that much, actually.
At least she doesn't have to shave her head anymore.
There you go. But for what it was, I really enjoyed it. I laughed out loud a lot when this was on. And so I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Extremely high. But I'm rating that one not necessarily the same as I do for most of the MCU, but just as what it was. I really had a good time with this. The kids and I laughed a ton as we watched this one. And, I'd even go so far as to say like this is maybe up there with like Christmas movies I would consider pulling out this time of the year every year, like a Home Alone or an Elf or a whatever. Like I had a lot of fun with this. Only difference being that maybe in the next movie they'll all be dead. Who knows? I don't know. So that could be a little different. But anyway, I'm gonna give it 9 out of 10. That's right.
Unexpected. I going in, I didn't know what to expect from a comic book themed Christmas special. And I don't even know what I wanted to get out of it. But what I did get, I mostly enjoyed. It definitely was funny. There was a lot of laughs, like I say. I would say probably 3/4 of the movie was not really felt like any kind of Christmas theme of it all. It just was like a backdrop. This is a situation.
Movie.
Yeah, it really was. So it, for a lot of it, it was like, we wouldn't even classify it really a Christmas movie, but I mean, in the end, it did bring some Christmas feels and some emotional stuff. That had, like the part where they reveal the surprise to Quill was actually pretty touching. Like you could tell he's like was that really meant a lot to him, and it actually cheered him up, and that bit of it did feel a lot like Christmas. And so I mean, overall, it was. I mean, I wouldn't put it up there. Like you're saying, like you'd bring it out like a regular Christmas movie. I probably wouldn't go that far. But for what it was, I enjoyed quite a bit of it. I was laughing, like literally laughing out loud for a lot of it. And, yeah, I probably would, to throw a number at it, I probably would give it, like an 8. And that, again, kind of like you said, is that's not like an 8 compared to like a full length movie, but as a holiday special, yeah, I would give it like an 8.
All right. Yeah, I thought it was pretty fun. It was nice to catch up with the characters and see what they've been up to, more than we were able to in Thor: Love and Thunder, certainly. I bitch about those couple things, and I actually have a few more on the list here that weren't as severe, but that bugged me as usual. I'm not going to run through them, but according to my new scoring system, this ended up with a 4.0 out of 10, which I know is much lower than your guys' rating, but is actually not terrible the way that I rate things. It's below average, but not by much. I just because I don't know if I'll ever really feel the need to rewatch it, I guess. I don't know. I could go into more detail, but what 4 out of 10.
Oof.
I know.
Justin
I score
Henry
things
over here.
differently,
Yeah,
and it
by the
always
way your
makes
rating
me-
system is, I totally understand that.
No, that makes sense. You're saying it's better than 40% is still what you're doing or not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Which that's fair.
the goal of the numbered outcome. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, like I definitely wouldn't rate it higher than most of the regular MCU movies. So yeah, it'd be like below average by that standpoint.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our wrap up on the holiday special here. Before we get too far along, I just wanted to bring up this other cool article I had found online to everybody here. And Brett, I know you haven't been in a lot of the Marvel episodes we have done, so
Sure.
I don't know a lot of your thoughts on some of this stuff, but I had found this one. This is on a website called direct.com or thedirect.com, and they had you could argue this, how they have this broken down, but this was the last piece. Let's say that first up front. This was the last actual thing of phase 4 that was on there. So after Black Panther was the last movie, this was actually the last thing in phase 4.
And what was the first thing of phase 4?
Oh boy.
Was
Well, probably was
Spider-Man Far From Home was the last of 3, right?
Yeah,
So WandaVision.
WandaVision?
Yeah, WandaVision started. Okay, thank you.
Was probably the first thing, technically.
Yeah.
So we're all over the place at this point, but this article I'm looking at here has broken down the MCU as going outward in 8 directions at this point. And I definitely think you could argue these, but I was kind of curious which of these you guys are like most excited about going forward. And I'll kind of give you a little detail on these as we check it out. So the first one here is called MCU Cosmic. And this one is basically anything that's off-world. This would be having to do with Thor and also the Guardians of the Galaxy, what they're up to, the Eternals, possibly even Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau. We have the Secret Invasion and the Marvels coming up. Nick Fury was off planet last we saw him. So this is all things happening in the MCU Cosmic branch, I guess we'll call this.
Okay.
Second one here is the MCU Supernatural branch, and this one is going to include Blade, as well as Moon Knight, who is in this as well now. Werewolf by Night, possibly, and Man-Thing could fall into this one as well. And then it also says, it's kind of curious that they have now technically somebody from the vampire area, which would be Blade, the Mummy, Moon Knight, the Werewolf by Night, and the Swamp Monster, the Man-Thing. So they're kind of hitting all those classic monsters, I guess. So this one I think will take off more when we see what they're going to do with Blade. But that's
Okay.
MCU Supernatural for branch 2. The third branch they just have labeled as MCU Avengers. And with this one, they currently have Bruce Banner Hulk, Shang-Chi they put in here as well, Wong, possibly Captain Marvel, War Machine, people like Okoye and Shuri, maybe even Sam Wilson, Captain America, and they said possibly a new addition to this would be She-Hulk as well. So it's kind of like the heritage of the original team, I guess.
Okay.
If you want to think of that. They have the fourth branch here called MCU Street. And this is Hawkeye's Clint and Kate both. Echo, John Walker that we left off, Bucky Barnes, Yelena, and this Thunderbolt movie that's coming out probably would fall here. And who they project to be the face of this branch would be Matt Murdock, Daredevil, who is getting his own 16-episode show coming up, possibly returning to Kingpin in this one as well. So it's kind of like the street level heroes. Branch 5 they have is Spider-Man. Just basically all things included with Spider-Man, with however this is going to go. And I've kind of heard like there's going to be maybe a whole new trilogy with this, but I've also heard somebody's trying to use Tom Holland and their stuff. And like, so I don't know where this is going to go exactly, but they're definitely at a restart point now that nobody knows who Spider-Man is basically again, or who Peter Parker is, or however that wacky spell worked. So we have Spider-Man. Branch 6, we have the Young Avengers. And this would be, all the younger people they've kind of put in here recently. So Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, they have Ironheart from Black Panther that just came out. And I think the only ones I've listed here, but it seems like you could throw more in there. Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, and Hulk has a son now that was introduced in one of the shows. And so there's definitely a younger version of everybody there as well. Branch 7, they have the MCU multiverse, and this is the one they kind of have pegged as the big one at the moment here. Doctor Strange and Loki and Sylvie and Kang, and then all of the Ant-Man characters heading into the quantum realm as well, and how this will all probably affect the rest of these branches with some of the stuff coming up with these movies. And then Branch 8, they have mutants. Get ready. So we've had Kamala Khan now, we've had Namor, who've both been officially called mutants, and then we also have things like Patrick Stewart playing Professor X in the multiverse, and obviously showing like there's other versions of our world out there with these characters existing in them already. So these are the 8 they have, and it's kind of interesting. If I had to sit and break down all of the characters in the MCU, I don't know if I would have come up with the exact same breakdown they have, but I think they do a pretty good job of at least kind of laying out where everything's at the moment here. So I don't know if it's possible or not, but I was just kind of curious, like, as fans of these movies, like, is there a particular area that you're the most invested in or interested in kind of at the moment going forward, or are you just kind of like excited for all of it or certain ones?
I guess I would say, it definitely would be the the mutant side of it that I'm most interested in, mainly because these are characters that we all know quite well. These are people that have already had several movies, and are also characters that I personally enjoy. A lot of the other characters in all these different branches, you're getting in the thing where not a lot of them are people that you may or may not know, depending on how invested you are into comic books. Definitely a lot of these I was not really, may have heard the name once or twice before, but don't really know anything about them. So kind of easy answer for me is definitely see what they can do with X-Men.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, X-Men is a big part of it too. I'm also number 7 is very appealing to me. I like the Loki series, and I think if Kang is the next Thanos, in terms of like the big bad, then that's probably where my largest interest lies. Like, I love team ups. I love when everyone comes together to fight one truly massive enemy. And it seems like they're setting up Kang to be that. So I think all of these branches, which is really cool, by the way, I had never kind of thought of it this way, but I think they are all going to kind of come together to have to fight Kang at some point in the future. And I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, it's kind of interesting too, because if I'm looking at these, one of the ones I usually gravitate to is like the street level heroes, which prior to, a year ago, those were the Netflix shows. So like I enjoyed all those because they were, Daredevil cleans up a neighborhood, or like, Jessica Jones is going from street to street literally and trying to take care of this thing. Now that's all migrated over here to the MCU, where like they have their own street level heroes. And that's kind of interesting to me, just like because you knew the Netflix heroes weren't going to show up in the MCU. Like, Endgame didn't have, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones running around the battlefield, or the Punisher.
Right.
Now, theoretically, they could. So that's kind of intriguing to me to see, like, you might get anything from like, I don't know, the Eternals or Thor in like the far reaches of the cosmos, all the way down to like somebody who's trying to defend their neighborhood from Kingpin, or like somebody, just like the broad scope of that is really intriguing to me in general. So I'm hoping for the Daredevil show to be fantastic. Number one, I'm intrigued by the supernatural realm to see where that goes. I did enjoy the character of Moon Knight quite a bit, and his TV show. You know, there were some uneven parts about that we talked about in this podcast, but the idea that they're getting more of these types of characters with Blade and Werewolf by Night, maybe even, or whoever else may pop up on this is another area that I'm kind of intrigued by. And I think I agree with you at the end here too, Dave. I'm just kind of curious what's going to happen with this whole multiverse saga for the next few years. That's where that's going to go. And honestly, one of the things I'm most curious about is how many people they're going to clear off the bench in terms of death. If we're going to have some of these people on these branches not exist anymore because Kang maybe wipes out 6 or 7 heroes that we didn't see coming, you know, like it would be fully conceivable for me to see like Ant-Man and Wasp like bite the bullet because their story's done, or like there's characters they probably like, I don't know, Bucky you could probably kill off soon. Like, I don't know, some of these characters aren't going to serve a purpose going forward, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, without his arm, it's gonna be hard for him to fight. So
Yeah.
I think the
So-
Guardians too are largely being set up to maybe say goodbye in Guardians 3.
See, that would be a great like they're like a really good opportunity. Like if you wanted to give Kang instant credibility, like have him wipe out the Guardians, take them off the MCU, and like they are loved by so many people. Like people would hate that guy then.
yeah, that was a point I was going to bring up, and then obviously not an original thought, but it to if you want to get back, it the thing about what the Avengers, the whole arc there with Thanos and everything, was that he was so dangerous, and you gotta if Kang is going to be something around that kind of level, you really gotta you almost have to like kill off some of these people to actually make him feel like this massive threat. And it might be, I'm not sure how else they would get another big team up thing either, without something like this that makes him, they've got to come together and stop this guy.
Yeah, I think I worry about the MCU, and I know a lot of people have complained about Phase 4, but I do think there is probably a limit on how many characters your general audience can keep track of in the MCU, and I think they've far surpassed it at this point.
I agree.
You know, and I really worry about that as someone who wants this to continue on as long as it possibly can, that the general viewer is going to tune out because now they have 60 quote unquote Avengers they have to keep track of at this point. It's just too many. And if they haven't seen all the TV shows and they only go to the movie theater, then they're going to miss a little bit here and there. And then they have like the Young Avengers, like they have a replacement for almost every character at this point. America Chavez is like sort of the American character now for Captain America, and Ironheart's the new Iron Man.
Well, there's still a
like,
Captain America. Like,
well, there is. So that's
Captain
the weird
America.
exception one. You know what I mean? But like, there's young Hawkeye now. There's a new Hulk. Like, well, it's 2 new Hulks now. Like, so the fact that these other ones could disappear. Very possible because they already have replacements introduced in the world. Like they're already there. So it's interesting. I don't know what they're gonna do with Spider-Man. That's a weird one too. Like I do enjoy Spider-Man. Maybe not as much as, well, I do enjoy Spider-Man quite a bit. We gotta wonder what they're gonna do there though. Like if Miles Morales is gonna eventually head over to this, or I don't know. Spider-Man's also maybe the only one who actually has like a large rogues gallery who's still left that hasn't been used in the MCU, other than when they bring in X-Men, and that's gonna flood. And Fantastic Four have a few too, I guess. Galactus and Doctor Doom and Magneto for the X-Men, and there's some big ones left out there. But
which of these branches would Fantastic Four be on?
It's a good question.
They would probably have to be the mutants, right? Well, I mean, they're not. No,
they're not.
They're mutated from the cosmic energy or whatever. So I guess
I don't know.
Technically, they're mutants.
I think if we found a 9th branch, you guys.
Yeah, I don't know where they would be. I mean, they're kind of cosmic too, because they deal with like the Watcher and Galactus and Silver Surfer, but they're always like, my impression at least was always they were doing that from Earth itself. So I don't know. That is a weird one. I don't know. I was just kind of curious. I thought it was interesting how they had it broken down. And like I said, if I had sat and sketched out all of the characters, I may or may not have come up with the same category as they did. But
yeah,
it is interesting just to think about where this goes from here. So is Ant-Man the next thing now? Or no, there's a Secret Invasion TV show. Is that next?
I don't know.
Not sure.
I don't know either. But they're kind of moving stuff around.
Yeah.
I think the Rhodey War Machine, what was that one called? Armor Wars was
Armor
a TV
Wars.
show, and then they just switched it to a movie now. So rumor has it that sometime in the year 2029 we'll finally get Deadpool 3. So
I mean, there was a little announcement about Deadpool 3. Did you guys see that? That Hugh Jackman will be in it as Wolverine.
when he's 90.
That is the rumor.
That's the rumor.
So they're working on that.
Ryan
How much of
Reynolds
that
has
is
gotta
actually
just-
him and not CGI? That's the question.
I can only imagine Ryan Reynolds must be like fuming though, like secretly fuming, even if he's not doing it publicly, just from Disney buying up Fox and being like, God damn it, now I'm never gonna get the third movie made. So now I got suddenly pushed behind like 50 other superheroes.
Yeah, yeah.
When I was number one before or whatever, So all right. Any last wrap-up thoughts for today, gentlemen?
No, it's a fun one.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Brett, you good?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add.
All right, sweet. Well, this has been the review of the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, live now on Disney Plus. If you haven't checked it out yet, stop and check it out. See what you think. See if you're a Dave or a Cody on this one. But whatever you do, don't be a Joe. Or Justin. I wonder if Justin watched it.
Never a Joe.
After he annihilated the Rings of Power, I'm kind of scared to let him rate things anymore. Good Lord.
I'm a Justin when it comes to Rings of Power. So
That low?
Mm.
yeah.
You would have gave it that low?
Yeah. I mean, you know how
okay.
all my ratings are lower than everyone else's, and I didn't like that show. So
At all?
no, not I at all there were things I liked about it, but in general I disliked it. So anyway.
All right. Fair enough. Well, I guess we'll head out then today here, guys, with the holiday special inspired final song for this one today. So we'll see you next time on Friends. We're occasionally Santa Claus coming to not disagreeing. As right now, ring-a-ling-a-ding, ting, ting, doo-doo-boo-doo-boop. Put a star on the tree, ping pong. Thanks for helping me out with that one, guys. Really appreciate that.
That's so low run. I wasn't going to interrupt that.
Right?
You did
genius.
great. I mean, I just would have ruined it. Yeah.
Was too good. It's too good, I guess. Could have used a little
I
more
was thinking about
bacon.
trying to like throw in some jingle bells or something in there, like actual bell sounds. That's the only thing I could add.
Ah,
You
all
were
right.
you were rocking that solo, Cody.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Bye, everybody.
See you later.